Hi, my name is Schyler Church. I am a California real estate broker as well as a member of the education department at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We are a private school directly approved through the DRE to provide you those course requirements as well as exam preparation to make sure you're prepared to pass this real estate license state exam in California. And that is what we're talking about today. So the actual day of the test. So you've already done the courses, you've been studying, you've been approved by the state, scheduled, and today is the day that you're taking that exam. Well, what does it consist of and involve? And that's what we're going to talk about. So what do you need to bring? You're going to want to bring the examination schedule notice. This is the piece of paper that has your information posted on it of your approval, the date that you're scheduled, but most importantly, it has a barcode. So that way when you check in, all they have to do is scan it, and that'll bring everything up regarding your file. If you do not bring it, the DRE usually will provide you one, but you can't always rely on that, and you want to stay on the DRE's good side. So make sure to bring that examination schedule notice as well as proof of identification. So you're going to want to make sure you have your either your driver's license or your state ID card, your either US passport. So one of these I'm talking about. So if you don't have, for instance, a driver's license or a state ID card from the DMV, you could bring like your US passport or a passport issued by a foreign government, or even your U.S. military identification card. It has to be a picture ID provided by the U.S. government. Really important to know. So you'll have those two things. And what also needs to happen is you want to arrive 30 minutes early. They used to, when it was a paper exam, start when it's got scheduled. So you just need to be a few minutes early. And they'd check you in, and then everybody would start at the same time. Well, with it being on the computer nowadays, they usually open the building up about 30 minutes prior to when the exams are supposed to start. So if you have an 8 a.m. appointment, for instance, to take the state test, we do recommend arriving around 7:30 at that point, and the building should be open. You should be able to come in, check in. The DRE will then get you all situated, and you'll actually be able to start taking the exam right away. So people are going to be taking or starting the exams at different times usually. So because they check in people about one at a time, then you'll be situated, and then you can start once you're at your seat. And so if you arrive at 8 a.m., that's kind of almost considered late nowadays with the DRE, and most everybody will have already started the exam. Some people may be 30 minutes already into the exam. So it's important to arrive early and get checked in. And then what do you have to bring though to actually get checked in? So you need to make sure you have that examination notice and photo ID. Those are the only things that you should have on you. You're going to need to put everything else into the locker. So if you can, try to keep everything. Don't bring anything with you but the necessities, and then you'll have to put that in the locker. So phones are an absolute no-no. I took my broker's state exam, and it was within 10 minutes of the exam and someone's phone went off. The DRE found the guy and booted him out. He couldn't take it, even though it was only 10 minutes in and he had just started, but he is not allowed to, and he probably got a pretty big notice on his file about that because they were not happy with him. He was trying to argue to try to continue taking the test or try to take it at a different time. They said, no, you have to completely reschedule it. And truthfully, and because remember, phones are not allowed. You can't cheat. You can't do anything like that. So it was a huge no-no on his end of it. And even your jacket. So I went at the end of December when I did my brokers, and it was cold. I was really, really cold. And they said, hey, if you're going to be wearing your jacket, you have to keep your jacket on the entire time. You can't take it off and put it on the back of your chair. So it's something to consider, the temperature for you, for how you also when you're taking tests. Hair tie. I even had a hair tie because I sometimes like to put my hair up when I am taking a test, especially if it's going to be a 4-hour test for the brokers and a 3-hour one for the salesperson. Well, they said, no, if you have the hair tie, you have to leave it on the corner of the desk. Everything has to be visible. Nothing can be on your arms. So you can't have your watch. They look at your arms and your sleeves to make sure you have nothing on you. They take this extremely seriously. It's very, very secure and heavily regulated. Also, if you're going to use the restroom, do so ahead of time, because if you're going to go use the restroom middle of your exam, that's going to take out from the time of that is allotted to you. And then once you have everything situated, stand in line to check in, and the administrators will then direct you to the testing area. Okay, and then we're going to be discussing the actual exam. So then once you've been directed to the testing area, you're going to be given your spot, and the administrator will give you a number, and that is the test station that you'll be located. They'll usually direct you to it, and you'll put all of the belongings that you were even allowed to bring in the upper right-hand corner. So for instance, like your identification, you'll put in the upper right-hand corner. And then the DRE will provide you with a calculator as well as a whiteboard, so a pen and eraser. So you use that to write notes. So for instance, if there's things that are really important to you that you easily forget that you want to write down, for instance, how many square feet are in an acre, certain things that you just have a hard time remembering, you'll want to write that down. And you can also use it to do notes. There's like no math questions. If you get one, it's very rare. There are a few still wandering around in their database, but very, very rare to actually have a math question. But the whiteboard's great for it. I used my whiteboard to truthfully categorize my questions for ones I wasn't sure on, where I said, hey, this one I truthfully am not as certain about, so I need to go back to it. This one I'm pretty confident on, but I was maybe a little 50-50. And so that way I knew what to do. So that's how I use the whiteboard, but it's up to you and your discretion. And you have a calculator as well. And then the actual exam. So for salesperson, it's 150 multiple choice questions. Brokers, it's 200 multiple choice questions. And both of them are in the electronic format, so it's at their location, heavily regulated. The time is also 3 hours for salesperson to do 150 multiple choice questions. Brokers, you get 4 hours. And remember, this is all in one sitting. So if you use the restroom ahead of time, and because if you have to during the exam, the clock will still be ticking. Passing grade. So for salesperson, you need to get a weighted 70% or higher. So remember, it's not just a 70% of the questions you have to get correct. The questions are worth different amounts, as well as what category they fall under. So you have to be proficient in the exam or in the conceptual material that you can get a weighted 70% or higher to pass. And then for brokers, it's a weighted 75%. You would think because it's 200 multiple choice questions that you would only need to get 150 of them to correct to pass, but that's not the case. You may get 155, 160 of them correct. But if you miss the heavy hitting questions, as well as how they're categorized within the 7 areas, you might not pass. And that's why the state exam is a challenging one. It's completely doable as long as you put the time into studying, but it is relatively challenging because of how it's graded and also just how it's constructed with the conceptual material. And then you'll also be taking it at one of their 5 locations, so Sacramento, Oakland, Los Angeles, San Diego, or Fresno. If you are not located near any of these ones, please note you will be traveling to one of their locations. It's really important to know. And so the good news though with the exam being on the computer is you do get your results right away. So what you'll do is you'll turn in the mouse that was actually provided for the computer, your calculator, and the whiteboard. You're going to give that to the administrator, and they will give you, in exchange, a piece of paper. And that piece of paper, you'll be directed to read it outside of the building. So you'll walk outside the building, and that will have your results. And if you passed, they'll say, congratulations, you've passed. If you didn't pass, they will tell you, hey, you didn't pass, but here's an overall score that you got on it. And then also the percentage of questions that you got correct in all of the 7 areas on the state test. So it gives you an idea of how proficient you are with the material and something to use to continue your studies and to do better than next time. And if you passed though, you'll then be able to receive your license. If you did the combination application when you originally applied, you'll receive your license that day, and you'll either, if it was already placed under a broker, you're good to go. Otherwise, you'll want to use e-licensing or the physical form to select your broker. However, if you had done just the exam only application, that's where you only paid for the exam, you'll then need to submit the license application with the remaining fees, as well as doing your live scan fingerprinting. The how to apply video will be of great use for this, to go over this information. And if you didn't pass, you're then able to reschedule and go take that state test a different time, but just know you'll have to pay the exam fee again. As always, though, remember, I am not affiliated or part of the Department of Real Estate. I do not cover all stipulations. This is just for general purpose and should not be used as up-to-date or accurate information. If you want complete and accurate info, always contact the DRE, and I have their information right here. But if you have any general questions, feel free to call us at Accredited, and we'd be glad to assist you. But good luck on that state test, and please reach out with any questions you may have.